Welcome to Studio 73 Suffolk U News. I'm Lauren Barabee.
I'm Casey Hall. Coming up on the news, we'll have in-depth team coverage of President McKenna Board of Trustees issues at Suffolk University.
We'll also share stories from New Hampshire on how politicians are trying to lure the millennial vote.
But first, we're joined by Studio 73 weather person Michaela Pyrus with a look at the incredibly warm weather we've been having. Michaela?
We've had a pretty warm start as February was underway this week. Some places saw temperatures as high as 60 on Monday. Today, the temperature high will be around 53 with a steady rainfall starting in the mid-afternoon leading into tonight. So make sure to have an umbrella for that evening commute. Will temperatures stay this warm throughout the week? I'll let you know later in the show with my weekend forecast.
I'm Casey Hall.
And I'm Lauren Barabee. There's turmoil on Temple Street involving Suffolk University's Board of Trustees and the university's president.
The new president of only 8 months, Margaret McKenna, could be fired this week. According to the reports from the Boston Herald and Boston Globe, Suffolk's Board of Trustees are unhappy with McKenna's leadership and financial actions.
The threat to fire Suffolk's first female president is causing many students and their faculty to show support in the opposition of this decision. A firing and hiring of a new president would lead to the 5th president in 5 years.
Suffolk students and faculty took their emotion to Temple Street.
Thanks, Casey and Lauren. This street was the scene of a rally in support of President McKenna. Behind me in the C. Walsh Theater, over 300 faculty, staff, and students attended an informal town hall meeting where they voiced their opinions about the issue. Take a look at the scene here. Keep McKenna and Diversity Matters signs flooded Temple Street Tuesday as students expressed their concerns over the constant turnover in university leadership and the disconnect between the board and the students' needs. Students are expressing their concerns over how this affects their degrees.
The only thing they intended to do when they leaked stories and when they slandered our president was to muddy the name of Suffolk University.
And it worries me because, what's made it hard for me to finish my education is the fact that it costs money to get an education. And now I'm wondering what my degree is going to be worth when I walk out of here. That's a very big question for us.
Other students are hoping that President McKenna won't be fired. A former Suffolk student says that she's worried about how this will affect the future of the
want President McKenna to stay, and I'm hoping that that's the end result, that the students' voices are heard.
It's hard for Suffolk to have stability and really get anything going. How can we have new diversity groups and things like that formed if we can't have the same president from year to year?
With so much turmoil surrounding this issue, students are definitely feeling uneasy. But whatever the outcome may be, you can be sure that students will definitely be talking about this. Reporting live from the C. Walsh Theater, I'm Katie Martineau.
Thank you, Katie. The students weren't the only ones rallying concerning President McKenna. 350 faculty and staff showed up for the impromptu town hall meeting at the C. Walsh Theater.
Joining us live via Skype is Studio 73 news reporter Shauna Newcomb, who has more about what happened inside the C. Walsh Theater. Shauna?
Less than just 24 hours ago, this was the scene of more than 300 Suffolk students and faculty rallying together right here in front of the C. Walsh Theater. Let me show you the video of the demonstration. Increased security, barricaded streets, and signs saying, "I stand with McKenna," was the scene here yesterday. Supporters for the university's president, who's currently faces termination, danced and chanted as a means to gain awareness and attention. Tiffany Martinez, a student at Suffolk University, orchestrated the rally through a Facebook page. Dr. Kenneth Cosgrove, chair of the Suffolk faculty, said he is proud of the student unification.
I think it shows how much passion they have for our wonderful university, and I think it speaks to this really is the kind of place you want your young person to come to because you have people with this much passion who care so much about it. You can't buy that. You can't manufacture.
Now, while the rally was taking place outside, inside of the theater was a meeting held for the rest of the Suffolk community, where they became better informed of the current situation and learned about a fundraiser that could possibly change everything. Take a look. A panel made up of Dr. Kenneth Cosgrove, Colin Loisel, president of the Suffolk Student Government Association, along with other Suffolk alumni representatives, said the rate of presidential turnover has been unacceptable. College application time is amongst us, but what does this mean for the university? The Suffolk community says it gives the university a bad rap. Both levels of the theater were occupied as Tyler LeBlanc, an alum and past SGA president, advocated for donations to go toward a full-page advertisement in the Boston Globe. So far, they have reached their halfway point of gaining $10,000 in support of keeping their president, Margaret McKenna. The chant, "We want McKenna," heard from outside, could be heard and felt inside. Many people in there were in agreement that the next step in order to regain some stability for the university might be the termination of the Board of Trustees President, Andrew Myers. Tomorrow at 1 p.m., the SGA will have a vote of no confidence. Reporting live from Temple Street, I'm Shauna Newcomb, SU News. Back to you, Casey and Lauren.
Thank you, Shauna. Studio 73 SU News will have continued coverage of this meeting and updates as they continue to happen this coming week.
Current students and alumni have been tweeting their support for Suffolk University President Margaret McKenna, even creating their own hashtag, SU Stands with McKenna. At JL Whitney tweeted, "I'm a proud Suffolk U alum and I stand with President McKenna."
Tara Pastina tweets, "Fully support President McKenna and reject the Board of Trustees. Suffolk U is no place for failed politicians." Another tweet, "President McKenna is fighting for Suffolk and will fight for her, is fighting for her. We care because she cares."
Another writes, "Suffolk has had 4 presidents within the last 5 years. Seems like it's the board that's the real issue, not the presidents." If President McKenna won't go down without a fight, then neither will Suffolk students.
To the Board of Trustees, what would that be?
You have such a long way to go to earn back this university's trust, and it needs to start now.
I wish they would open up a dialogue with students. I know that we all do want to talk with them and kind of hear their side of the story and hear what they feel about this, and I wish they would kind of open up and just have more transparency with their decisions. I think that would really kind of ease a lot of tensions on both sides.
Step out of the day-to-day management of the university.
I would say it's unfair that they're wasting our tuition money, paying out contracts for people that don't stay for more than a year.
The diversity services office is already well overworked because it's a very small office and there's a lot to deal with. So that's something that definitely needs to also be addressed as well.
You need to start working for the students, that you need to listen to us, and that realize that in the past 4 years, if we've had 5 presidents, it might just be you.
We are now joined by Student Government President Colin Loisel. Colin, thank you for being with us today.
Of course.
So let's start with what happened with your meeting with the board on Monday.
The meeting was extremely disappointing. We shared our concerns with the Board of Trustees. I think we represented the students well, the concerns that they have. But the board didn't take responsibility for any of their actions. We didn't learn any new information. As far as we know, they don't have any valid reasons for wanting to fire President McKenna. So while I was appreciative that they let us meet with them, quite disappointed with the outcome.
Now, what's the next step for you and SGA? Are you still going through with your vote of no confidence on Thursday?
Absolutely, yeah. On Thursday, we're going to vote no confidence in Andrew Meyer. And the reason people ask why, and it's easy to summarize, in 4 years, we've had 5 years, 4 presidents. They've all come and gone, and the only thing that hasn't changed is the leadership of the Board of Trustees. They failed to provide stability for the university, and I think that it's time that they take accountability, and that starts with Andrew Meyer resigning.
Awesome. Hey, thank you very much for joining us, Colin. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
On Thursday at 1 p.m., the student government is having a meeting to pass a motion of no confidence in the Board of Trustees and the board president.
According to reports in the media, on Friday, the Board of Trustees is holding an emergency meeting to fire President McKenna. There is discussion among students and faculty groups to rally outside of the meeting at 12 noon.
According to other media reports, was mentioned to be a replacement. But in a recent public statement, Coakley says she is not a candidate for the presidency, nor will she be. It felt like springtime this week, but will there be another cold front heading in? Your look at the week's forecast coming right up.
Yeah, no, my script had another fucking.
There's one thing you can never have sex without.
It's not something you buy.
Or something you take.
In fact, there's only one way to get it.
It has to be given to you, freely.
It's consent.
Because sex without it isn't sex.
It's rape. Consent.
If you don't get it, you don't get it. It's on us to stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb. But if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Underage drinking and driving. The ultimate party foul.
If you don't fix them, sparks from dragging tow chains can cause a wildfire, and that could be scary. Only you can prevent wildfires.
Presidential candidates are working hard for millennial vote. Our team has more on that after the break. I'm Casey Hall.
And I'm Lauren Barabee. New developments coming out of California this week.
In the manhunt for 3 inmates that escaped a high-security prison in California last week, jail teacher Nusha 4 Invahi has been arrested after she allegedly supplied the inmates with Google Maps and other materials to assist them in their escape. Investigators say the teacher had a relationship with one of the inmates.
The Massachusetts State Senate approved a bill that would ensure men and women equal pay for comparable work. Employers will be prohibited from discriminating based on gender when it comes to wages and other compensation. The bill will now head to the House for review.
As the primary election approaches, candidates are making multiple stops to grab those last-minute undecided voters. A state full of them is New Hampshire. Eleni Mata had a chance to go to New Hampshire and talk to students who are planning on voting in this year's election. Eleni.
Now, it doesn't look like much now, but City Hall will be swarmed with voters picking their Democratic and Republican nominee come March 1st. Another popular place to go is New Hampshire. A lot of the presidential candidates are making their way there to collect all those undecided voters. Get up close and personal with the presidential candidates other than New Hampshire. New England College hosted a primary student convention for students all over the country to get ready for the first-in-the-nation primary.
You can meet all the candidates in one place and then have different professionals in different fields talk to you about different subjects.
For 3 days, students had the opportunity to ask questions, meet, and take pictures with candidates like Bernie Sanders, Chris Christie, and Carly Fiorina.
Coming here, you get to see them in person, really develop more of an opinion you have on before, get to ask them your own personalized questions. It's just fantastic to me. I mean, I'm really glad to see it so far.
At the end of each day, each person had the chance to participate in a straw poll election to pick who they wanted as their party nominees.
I just think just being able to participate in that would be really good, and also because, you know, I'd be able to make a tiny, like a fraction of a difference.
You know, this is a once-in-a-lifetime experience that, you know, not everyone can get in 4 years.
Now, whoever said millennials don't get involved definitely has it wrong. Now, don't forget to register to vote, then go out and vote. Of course, I wasn't the only one in New Hampshire. Shauna Newcomb has the story of her side of what happened in New Hampshire.
Engagement, political awareness, and hands-on experience. That was the goal for the New Hampshire Primary Student Convention. For 3 days, youth from across the country got to meet and chat with presidential candidates from both parties.
Oh, it's been fantastic. Just being able to come here and experience all the candidates, seeing what they all have to say, it's been great.
Finally getting the chance to engage in the world of politics was a dream come true.
I think it's good that they're giving younger people a chance to vote, even though most conventions for college students.
Students' voices were heard even after the Q&A sessions by participating in a mock election.
I just think just being able to participate in that would be really good, and also because, I'd be able to make a fraction of a difference.
The results? Republican Jim Gilmore and Democrat Bernie Sanders took home their party's nomination. No matter the outcome, participants agree that the event was a success.
Yeah, I learned a lot about the candidates and their platforms.
This is a once-in-a-lifetime experience that, not everyone can get in 4 years.
Again, a lot of activity coming from the 18 to 24-year-olds. And what all of them have in common is social media. Social media does play a big role in this year's election, and we saw just how crazy it can actually be.
What do you get when you mix millennials, social media, and politics? Shots fired. Candidates are using platforms like Twitter to reach youth voters. It was evident at the January primary student convention in New Hampshire. But there's a catch. Copycat accounts might be giving some candidates a bad rep. How social media can go bad became obvious rather quickly. After I tweeted a thank you to Republican Jim Gilmore on behalf of speaking to students, you'll never believe who responded. Tweet, tweet, here comes the Donald Trump.
Gilmore is stupid, and Trump 2016.
Is what Trump said, or so I thought. With a closer look, you'll see that the Twitter handle is spelled differently by just one letter. It's missing an L. Trump's official campaign account is spelled REALDONALDTRUMP. Social media mix-ups can be avoided by double-checking for verified badges, like this blue check mark on Twitter accounts. The copycat accounts can be so slick that they're actually very believable.
It just doesn't surprise me at all.
Some people might not agree with it, but what that is showing is that he has no problem calling things as it is.
Now, that's just a glimpse of how important and how crucial social media can affect this year's election. But of course, it puts in a spin of not believing everything that you see online. For SU News, this is Eleni Mata, Studio 73.
Thank you, Eleni. I'll also be sure to watch out for fake Casey Hall accounts.
1 year ago, MBTA riders had a lot to complain about with the transit system's struggle to get the trains back on track. This year, riders still aren't convinced the transit system is fixed. Find out why next on Studio 73 News.
Oh, you got it. Since I got rid of my car, I really enjoy walking.
Okay. God, no.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates.
Oh, you're home early.
You live with your mom?
That'll set your game back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
My heart doesn't see race. Love is love.
I'm Casey Hall.
And I'm Lauren Barabee. The weather we've been having this past week has felt a lot like spring. It's been a warm start to February, and I heard the groundhog had some great news for us. Is that right, Michaela?
He did. He didn't see a shadow, so they're predicting for us to see spring early. But I'm not really sure about that, so I'll keep my snow boots close. Let's take a look outside. It's a pretty gloomy day out there in Boston. We're expecting rain in the afternoon. High temperatures today will reach up to 53 in Boston and 57 in New York. That doesn't sound like temperatures for February, so maybe spring is coming. We also have 64 in Washington, D.C., and in San Francisco, they got 55, so it's not really good for Super Bowl preparation there. Let's take a closer look at the Northeast, where we can see rain all throughout. We have a wintry mix in southern Vermont and southern New Hampshire, and as we can see in the Midwest, it's heavy winds out there in Chicago, but they're used to that, aren't they? Let's take a look at the weather for this weekend. Temperatures will be dropping back into the 40s, so something we're really used to for the weekend. On Sunday for Super Bowl weather, it's going to be 46 here in Boston and a sunny 67 in San Francisco, so it's going to be great out there at Levi's Stadium. Back to you, Lauren and Casey.
Thank you, Michaela. During winter months, MBTA delays can take a lot of class time away from students. I was curious about how professors feel about students arriving late to class, even with those real public transportation issues. Luckily started off more mild than last, with no large-scale delays as of yet. But students are already preparing for those winter delays.
And when winter is in session and there's snow on the ground, I usually do tend to leave earlier so that I can plan accordingly and get to my classes on time.
Almost all students will be late or need to miss a class this semester, but whether a teacher is lenient or not on tardiness is really the luck of the draw.
Actually depends on the teacher, I think. I have certain teachers that actually care when I get there on time, but then there's certain ones that actually know because they actually commute in along with the MBTA, so they actually get what we're going through.
One of those professors on public transportation is Frank Irizarry. Over his 8 years at Suffolk, he knows the MBTA can never be perfect.
I've always had an 8:30 class, so you learn to be understanding. And I'm coming in from Wilmington, so sometimes I've got my own issues with the commuter rail, so I'm generally understanding.
Not all students can be as lucky to have a professor like Frank. Senior Nayara De Silva hasn't gotten the benefit of the doubt from professors.
Even last winter, like with all the snow, teachers expect you to show up to class, like even if there were no trains and stuff. So from my experience, teachers are not understanding when it comes to being late because of public transit.
The best advice we can give commuter students: cross your fingers for good weather. And if you're going to be late for missed class, give your professor a heads up. Most of the time, they'll understand.
One of the largest companies in New England will be moving its headquarters and approximately 800 jobs to Boston. General Electric has recently struck a deal with state and city officials. While there's no set location for the move, currently it has been expected the company will find space in the Seaport area. The 124-year-old company will be moving from Fairfield, Connecticut.
The Boston Public Health Commissioner confirmed the first case of the Zika virus in a Massachusetts resident last Thursday. The patient lives in Boston and contracted the disease while studying abroad.
The illness, similar to the West Nile virus, is transmitted through mosquitoes bites found in Africa, Latin America, and parts of Asia. The patient, however, is expected to make a full recovery.
Sure, I look cute now, but when my owner lost his job, it was rough. I was living on the street, and one night, me and this Cocker Spaniel got into it so bad, I wound up looking like an ice cream cone. I cried a little bit, but thankfully I got rescued, so I'm running, I'm jumping, all back to my old self. And I'm ready to give unconditional love, even if you put a lampshade on my head.
Oh, look, a redhead.
Staring contest!
You still got it.
I know. Come alive with the forest.
The dad was cute.
You were looking right at us.
Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you.
Hello, I'm Casey Hall.
And I'm Lauren Barabee.
The Pro Bowl took place in beautiful Hawaii this past weekend, but no Patriots players were in attendance. While 7 players were selected, all those players chose not to play due to injuries or other commitments. Standout selections were, of course, Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski, while young defensive standouts Malcolm Butler and Jamie Collins were given their first invitations.
The Boston Bruins had some time off last week for the NHL All-Star break. However, one Bruin went on the road to represent the Spoked Bee in Nashville. Forward Patrice Bergeron attended his second All-Star game this past weekend, and other players had praise for the 11-year veteran and 3-time Selke Trophy winner, saying that he is a near-perfect hockey player and he just doesn't make a lot of mistakes on the ice.
Today marks the beginning of National Letter of Intent Day for student athletes around the country. Starting from today until April, first students publicly announce where they will be committing to play in college. Some top high school football performers in the state have already signed their letters, including tight end and linebacker Danny Dalton of Marshfield. Dalton, the Gatorade Player of the Year and Division II semifinalist, announced he will play football at Penn State. Lineman and teammate Shane Leonard has committed to play for Boston College. Joining Leonard at BC will be wide receiver / linebacker Kurt Bletzer of Catholic Memorial. Bletzer, a 3-time Catholic Conference All-Star, had 210 tackles and 16 touchdowns in his career for the Knights.
Well, apparently not everyone was inside during last week's snowstorm.
No, they weren't. A Boston-bred hip-hop artist was in town to film a music video, and our Matt Cole was there to check it out.
From my city and anything you about anything that's prosperous and you try and get on. If you a model, I'm trying to help you, you know, get some shoots. If you a dancer, I'm trying to throw some money on you in the club.
Today, Superstar LT is shooting a video, and it's called Boston Girls, so it's representing all the girls in the city. So it's going to be amazing, and it's also going to air on MTV.
We're here on the corner of Mass Ave and Washington Street, where superstar rapper LT from Dorchester is filming his newest video for Boston Girls. He brought his car, he brought his friends, he brought his family. A lot of bystanders coming by to check it out.
I'm trying to support the hood, you know what I'm saying? Whatever that means.
We have a lot of artists out here who are doing things, and we're trying to make it bigger and let people know that we have real talent out here.
Ricky Wiggum, better known as Superstar LT's songs have gotten hundreds of thousands of hits on YouTube, and he's confident that this video is going to bring him to the next level.
We got Boomtown shooting it. Boomtown shoots everyone's music videos, real major, so it's on Revolt TV and MTV.
Despite grabbing a lot of attention, LT said he was proud to be filming in his hometown. It's cold, but it's a good day. For SU News, I'm Matt Kuehl.
Seems like they had a lot of fun out there.
It sure does. I wonder what would happen if I tried to park my car on the sidewalk like that. I don't know if it'd fly.
A host has been chosen for this year's Tony Awards. Find out who that is next.
Sure, I look cute now, but when my owner lost his job, it was rough. I was living on the street, and one night, me and this Cocker Spaniel got into it so bad, I wound up looking like an ice cream cone. I cried a little bit, but thankfully I got rescued, so I'm running, I'm jumping, all back to my old self. And I'm ready to give unconditional love, even if you put a lampshade on my head.
Heart doesn't see race. Love is love.
There's one thing you can never have sex without.
It's not something you buy.
Or something you take.
In fact, there's only one way to get it.
It has to be given to you, freely.
It's consent.
Because sex without it isn't sex.
It's rape. Consent.
If you don't get it, you don't get it. It's on us to stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at It's On Us.
Hi, I'm Casey Hall.
And I'm Lauren Barabee. Welcome back. I don't know about you, but I use my iPhone camera all the time, and I even surprise myself with how clear the pictures come out.
Well, Apple just announced their latest campaign, Shot on iPhone, which displays photos taken by amateur as well as professional photographers that were shot directly on iPhone 6s. The winning photos will be presented on billboards in 85 cities across the city and 6 countries starting this week. All right. That's all we have for you today. Thank you so much for watching.
Until next time, I'm Lauren Barabee.
And I'm Casey Hall.